I don't know if you can call this a Mercy podcast because this is actually being done just about 24 hours after the event. First off, hi, Earnestly podcast on a Saturday, which is rare as it is anyway. And I meant to do this earlier in the day, but first off, I didn't get to watch SmackDown finish SmackDown rather till this afternoon. Early afternoon, should I say, late morning, early afternoon. Then I had to go to my mom's house with the kids. That took a couple hours. That's like about 5 hours there of time. Came home, and my little one stayed awake, so I couldn't do any podcasts while I was awake. And I contemplated not even doing it at all. I got really tired, and I was like, it's 10 o'clock at night, so let's go to bed. Then I said, you know what? Screw it. I already wrote enough notes here. I spent time today jotting down notes from the show. Which, by the way, this is what sucks about wrestling. The only show I can watch live is going to be AEW on Wednesdays or NXT, whatever show I decide to watch live. And as I said before on the pod 2 days ago, I did choose AEW on Wednesday live, and I watched NXT the very next day. Both were really, really good shows. The NXT show actually, you could argue, was better than AEW's, but that's just my opinion. But anyway, so SmackDown debuted on Fox yesterday. Although this recording will probably be in your feeds on Sunday morning, but it's okay. Great, really good show. Like I said, I watched it today. Lots of thoughts on it. Some good, some not so good. Some, and when I say not so good, it's more on the constructive criticism side. I'm not trying to be a hater. I don't do that. I'm pretty, I'm pretty positive about these kind of things for the most part. If it's things I don't like, I will speak on it. But that's just that. We'll start first on the show. First off, the presentation of the show was great. I love the intro. I love the new setup on the stage. Really good. I liked it a lot. Very clean. Pyro's back, just like on Raw. It's back on SmackDown as well too. I also, because I can't watch it live, and because Hulu's no longer an option unless you get the watch the live TV Hulu app, which I'm not going to do. You can only watch it on the Fox Sports platform, on demand, which is fine because you can rewind and fast forward. But again, ads. And, when I watch Raw normally, I watch the edited Raw hour and a half, which I'm going to probably stop doing anyway because I feel like I'm missing a lot of stuff in between that. But the problem is, if I watch it on USA on demand, because I work on Mondays, so I can't watch Raw live, it's going to be a real 3-hour show because I'm going to be watching it with the ads and the commercials, and I don't want to do that. Time of the essence. But, yeah, presentation was great. Love the stage. Great stage work. Pyro, all that. The crowd was hype, man. The crowd was really hype. It was almost like Attitude Era type noise, honestly. Not a typical WWE crowd. Really hype. Obviously, the announced teams can change now. From instead of having Tom Phillips and Byron Sexton and Corey Graves remains with remains in SmackDown, but with Michael Cole. No Renee Young, obviously. Renee Young will be doing studio work. Nothing against Renee Young. I love the two-man team of Cole and Graves. By the way, I tweeted on Twitter earlier today, and I really mean it. I think Corey Graves is better than Jerry Lawler as a color guy, personally. Not just now, but all time. I like Jerry Lawler, but I feel like Jerry Lawler is a little bit overrated. I think Jim Ross makes Jerry Lawler a lot better than he probably really is. I like Corey Graves. Corey Graves reminds me a lot of Jesse Ventura. And Jesse Ventura to me is the GOAT color guy. Him and Bobby Heenan probably 1 and 2. And Corey, for me to compare Corey Graves to Jesse Ventura, honestly, is a really huge compliment because I'm a big Jesse Ventura mark. So that's a positive thing for Graves. And again, he's also able to mix it up and to be, even though he tends to root for, for the heels, he's not over the top about it. He's a little more diverse. He's a little more critical, even for some heels, and I love it. He's just great. I love Graves. It's great. Of course, Michael Cole likes it. Michael Cole does what he does. Of course, the show starts with both Vince and Stephanie McMahon coming out before the intro to the show, saying, "Welcome to SmackDown on Fox." And Vince, he looks old. He sounds old. Haven't seen him in a long time. By the way, really cool shit when it came out, playing the No Chance in Hell theme song, the Old Corporation song, and the whole crowd just chanting the song. It was so fucking dope, dude. It was so cool. I actually got goosebumps. I remember thinking about that, back in 1999, 2000 era, Corporation and Vince and Shane and, the Corporation. It was really good stuff, man. Obviously, the intro is really cool. I think it's AC/DC on the intro as well, too. Pretty cool. Of course, you had Becky Lynch come out to start the show, which was interrupted by King Corbin. And by the way, I'll say it again, I love that the King of the Ring winner actually is wearing a crown and a cape, and a cape. I love it. And King Corbin, it justifies him in some ways to have. If he's not going to get a belt, put a crown on his ass. And to me, he fits the role. I love it. Baron Corbin, again, to me, is one of the top 2 or 3 best heels in the company. And it's natural heat he gets. Natural heat. The Rock comes out after Corbin comes out. And they go to back and forth. By the way, The Rock's promo was amazing. It was actually a classic Rock promo. It was a little mixture of what he does now, more mature. But you heard the millions, and the crowd chants millions. And he's, obviously the whole crowd's going nuts. Yeah, I enjoyed his promo was great. He got a little bit of action too. He was able to put the rock bottom and the people's elbow on Baron Corbin. Was really cool. Kind of felt bad for Corbin though, in a sense, because it was kind of a 2-on-1 action. Becky and Rock getting their shots in, but people say Corbin this and that. This is burying him. I say no, that's wrong. I think Baron Corbin being in this spot with The Rock and Becky Lynch arguing with one of the 2 faces of the company right now, is actually good for Baron Corbin. Very good. It means he's going to push again, which is good. So, kudos to King Corbin, who I salute, of course. You had the Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair tag team against Bayley and Sasha. Basically, it's another typical tag team match. They've had this, I think, last week also too, on Raw, I believe, and basically it's kind of like a preview for the solo matches when Charlotte goes against Bayley for the SmackDown title, and then Sasha and Becky rematch at Hell in a Cell as well too. So that's all it was. Pretty much filler time, in my opinion. The Fiend comes out, attacks Seth again. Another Firefly Funhouse, great stuff there. It feels like right now that it looks like the Fiend. Like, to me, the Fiend has to win on Sunday. He has to win Hell in a Cell. He's going to win the title. Because if Seth Rollins wins clean against the Fiend, then all this build-up is all for naught, in my opinion. So I don't see the only way you can see this working out well, where Seth still holds the title, is if the Fiend wins by disqualification. And I don't know if they're going to get that in the pay-per-view. I don't know. This is my opinion. He has to win on Sunday. He just has to. So that's that. Kevin Owens beats Shane McMahon. In the loser gets fired ladder match, of course, Shane is fired. Good match, actually. Shane took a lot of bumps in this one. But again, it's what he does. He's takes one for the team always. Again, I want to see less of Shane on TV. I don't want him gone I don't want him gone completely though. I think Shane's good for the company, but I think, like I said, my problem over the summer I kept saying was the fact that he's on TV too much and too overbearing. Basically, Shane McMahon, the way they was using him, the way they're using him over the summer, especially too, it's like he took the oxygen out of the room, So, but we'll see what happens. He'll probably off TV for a while. I think that's my guess. One thing I noticed too, also, and maybe it's just the LA crowd because they are kind of tough at times. Roman Reigns got a lot of boos last night when he came out. A lot of boos. I don't know. I don't think that reflects really on just the entire his persona. Obviously, Roman Reigns has been, a bit of a controversial figure to some degree in the last couple of years in terms of the crowds and, the WWE, allegedly force-feeding him down people's throats, but he has gotten more cheers in the last year. Obviously, a lot of that has to do with the leukemia and him coming back from leukemia, which is a natural progression, to get to, people, obviously sympathy and all that, but he got a lot of boos. He got a lot of boos on Sunday on SmackDown. I was a little surprised that it was as loud as it was. Obviously he beat. I don't know. I think he won the match. He did win the match, yeah. Lumberjack match against Eric Rowan. By the way, I love how they use Eric Rowan also. Eric Rowan's very underrated too. For the record, that's called match I watch him do. On SmackDown, it's been really good. Good matches. Daniel Bryan was on commentary. And right now, he's a babyface. The Yes movement's kind of come back, slowly come back. But I still think there's a turn coming at Hell in a Cell. I think that it's very possible. I'm not ruling it out. This all could be a plan and a ruse to get at Roman Reigns. Obviously, Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan will be, a tag team match against Luke Harper and Eric Rowan. So we'll see how that plays out. Finally, Brock Lesnar, Kofi Kingston, World Title match. It was predictable that Kofi was going to lose the belt. It was predictable that Brock was going to beat him. We said this for weeks leading up to this. It was going to happen. The issue I had, and I think an issue that many people had, was the fact that he beat him in 10 seconds. And to me, that just felt dirty. It felt disrespectful. I know Fox has a lot to say so. I know Fox wants to have a guy like Brock wearing a title, somebody that people know. It just felt dirty. I really didn't like it. Kofi, had a pretty solid title run. I mean, obviously, the question is going to be how long he holds the title. And I think my biggest fear, and I'll say it again, I said it in a couple podcasts this week, and I said it also a couple weeks ago on the podcast. And what happened this past week on SmackDown did not tame my fears. That the reason why I didn't want Kofi to lose was mainly because of the fact that I'm not entirely sure Kofi can still run the bell again. That's my fear. So I want him to hold the belt as long as possible, and we'll see how the draft goes. Because my thing is the only way Kofi gets another run the belt is if he's on Raw, on USA, to where there's a lot more leniency in terms of creativity. You don't have to worry about Fox being down your throats in terms of the writing, because obviously now with Fox paying the money they have for the rights to SmackDown, they're gonna have a lot of say so who they want to do what on their platform. So maybe you see Kofi going to Raw and maybe getting title shots there. I don't know. That's my biggest fear. And I like how it ended. It was pretty terrible. But that wasn't it either. The big surprise of the night, of course, is Cain Velasquez coming out Rey Mysterio. Of course, Rey Mysterio got destroyed by Brock on Raw on Monday. Cain comes in, pretty much beats the hell out of Brock. Brock looks like shook and scared and all that for the most part. It was, like I said, it was a good show. Other than the Brock execution, not so much the result, but the execution, I didn't really vibe with. But it was a solid show. Like I said, the crowd was into it most of the night. A lot of legends were there. Hogan was there. I thought Hogan would also be in the ring, but I guess not, which is fine. The Rock's enough. He had Goldberg. I think I saw Lita, Trish Stratus, a couple other legends, Hall of Famers at the Mark Henry at the event. Tyson Fury was there too. He had a little thing with Braun Strowman, a little Gaga, we would call that. Let me see. Other than that, it was a good show. Like I said, it's a solid show. I enjoyed it. I'll be watching on Saturdays though because I work Fridays, so I'll be able to watch SmackDown until Saturday mornings. So again, creating new behavior watching wrestling these days is going to be tough. And one of the things I think that's going to be fascinating is, with AEW on Wednesdays, SmackDown moving to Fridays, NXT on Wednesdays, people who do wrestling podcasts and radio shows, whatever, for a living, people like me to some extent that does content, especially shows that are once a week. My question is going to be, how do they structure it? A lot of my friends who do wrestling shows, they've contemplated moving days to make it fair for all the promotions. Because one of the problems you have is that, let's say you do a Tuesday show, you won't be able to talk about AEW until 6 days after that. So all you're doing is really previewing the AEW show coming up. You have SmackDown, NXT, all that. So it's a challenge really for people who do podcasts now to find a sweet spot. I think on this show, my wrestling content will likely be on Thursdays, and I think I'll start my week with SmackDown, going into Raw, and then AEW and NXT, and then I'll probably do a Thursday show and recap again. And I think it's fit for AEW, especially too. And like I said, AEW, I'm still getting used to the roster, the names, all that. Again, when we did the show on Thursday with GW Ross, at the time we didn't have the ratings numbers, but the AEW did win the ratings on Drew First Blood. Had 1.4 billion viewers. NXT had 890,000. Which is not terrible. AEW, obviously, I don't expect AEW to sustain that number either, to be honest with you. People say, can sustain that? I say no. I think if AEW can get 1-1-1-2 a week on TNT, on a new promotion that people are still only getting used to now, that's great. NXT has been slumping since the debut on USA 3 weeks ago. They opened, I think, with a 1-3, 1-4, and they've been down to 1-0. They're now under 1 now. So, people are still getting used to the the habits. But again, I maybe this is me and in the time living in now, but I find the ratings a little overrated because someone like me, for example, I don't watch any of these shows live. I've always watched Raw on demand. I've always watched SmackDown on demand. Love it because of the fact I'm at work, number one. Number two, it's easier to watch on Hulu without the commercials. The only show I think I will be watching, I'll say it again, I'll be watching live, will likely be AEW. And that's even if I am in the mood. The problem too with that is that the NBA comes back. So if there's a Heat game on during AEW, I'm watching the Heat game first. You know what I'm saying? So I'll catch AEW on the back end. I'll catch NXT on Thursday. The good thing with NXT also too that they still go on the network after the next night, which is good. Unfortunately, Raw and SmackDown will probably get the same treatment waiting a month before you get on the network. AEW is obviously on demand too, on TNT on demand, with commercials. Obviously, it's a little annoying, but whatever. You do what you gotta do. I don't have a DVR, unfortunately, so I don't have that advantage to fast forward as much. Let me see what else here I want to talk about before we go, because it's an emergency podcast, sort of.